All right, perfect. My name is Dean Larson. I'm actually with Pictometry, and thanks very much, Sarah, for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And but I got to apologize up front. Being that this presentation is about 8 hours old, and half of it was done while watching the presidential debate last night, could be a little disjointed, I guess, at best. First of all, I wanted to. This is a nice image here of nice Washburn County and where we're sitting. And I just want to run through a few slides and maybe demo a little bit about obliques and so forth. So our agenda, what are obliques? A lot of you folks probably already know, or you've seen me at your county or whatnot, and why fly them? The obliques are in the WLIP. Very excited about that. And I'll talk a little bit about the DOR. Met with them yesterday, along with Jim Lacey, and I'll talk about the integration of obliques in existing GIS applications. And finally, I wanted to show you one application, even though it's sort of aimed at assessing, and you're not a county assessing state, but it's a good way to build up support and use of your GIS data. So what are obliques? Basically what we do is we fly really low and really slow, and they take a straight down ortho, and then they take an image in all four directions. And then the plane goes back there. It's like mowing the grass in the clouds. And it goes back and forth and back and forth. So there's a lot of overlap. And then, so you're basically, when you're done, depending on the resolution of the imagery, you probably have 10 to 35 images of every square foot of your county or city. And they're from all different directions. So this is an ortho. This is what everybody here uses and uses a lot. And of course we provide those as well. But now some of you have seen this before. So if you know the answer, don't shout it out. But can anybody tell me what this is? What building is this? Okay, you guys are ortho guys. So you guys are going to be able to look at the shadow.
A church.
A church. There you go. And to the left is not a parking lot. It is a church with a flat roofed building. The point being is that there's a lot more than just looking at the roofs and looking straight down. Looking at the sides of buildings from all different directions and walking around that. It also opens up applications for a lot of other folks that don't maybe typically use your GIS data. And it really expands a lot, especially in public safety, because they want to know, okay, where are the entrances to this building? What are the sightlines? Once again, and why? A lot of times I'll do something for county commissioners, and they will have no idea that I can even showing their house and right from a straight down ortho, and they have no idea what they're looking at. But they look at the front of their house, they're going to say, well, that's my house. That's because we're used to looking at things at an angle. We're not looking straight down at all the things as we're walking around. So that's why it's a more natural look of things. And you can also see things like if it's a 2-car garage, 3-car garage. I want to know, there's a lot of information that you can gather from looking at from that, that building or bridge or parcel of land from many different directions. Also, another important part is now everybody here, or almost everybody here, except for a couple, has LiDAR data. And it's a really easy way to incorporate LiDAR data into your imagery. Meaning that what we do is we take that LiDAR and we embed it into the imagery, so that now if we point and click, and I'll show you this in a little bit, we can see the grade, we can see the slope and things like that. And instead of just looking at contours only. And probably number one, it gets used. We have found that folks or counties that have pictometry, have oblique imagery, I'm sorry about that, have oblique imagery, it gets used a lot more. And once again, what Jeff said this morning, it's value. The more your data is used, the more valuable it is. Who uses it? There's almost an application for every department, and it really does get things used a lot more. So, back to the obliques and the WLFP. It's in there. So this is on the 4.5.2. Down there, it's oblique imagery. Now, so it is a fundable item underneath your strategic initiative grants. Pretty excited about that. And the DOR is adopting a new IWO standard. IWO is International Assessors Association. And this new standard allows, and Wisconsin is moving towards adopting this particular standard. They haven't done it yet, but they're in the process of it. A lot of other states have already done this across the United States. And basically allows you to do desktop review for assessing. Now, once again, this is maybe not exactly at the county level, but it does, if you can bring in some of those cities and townships where they're doing some of the assessing, and then they could possibly be a funding partner or even just use your data again. And this also includes like street level, view, orthos, obliques, change detection, that's what I'm going to talk about at the end, and actually there's a sketch discrepancy as well, or sketch check type of thing. Obliques and GIS, I'm going to run through these and then I'm going to jump out really quick, and this is where it becomes a little disjointed maybe, and then I'm going to go into show you some of the applications. So you can generally see the obliques in almost any ESRI application. So with Desktop or ArcMap, ArcServer, Web App Builder, and then we also you can embed this into other third-party applications. So the first one actually is this is a Geocom or GeoLinks. Maybe some of you folks have that, where it's embedded into the application itself, and it could be with Bulberry, it could be with any number of 911 vendors. And how they do, they just take a little piece of software and embed that into their application. One thing I got to do is get that going. So here is an example of a web app builder down in Iowa. And this is where they've taken the widget and they've taken the, so we're going to go to Pictometry, the button up there, and then I'm going to click somewhere on the map and it'll bring up the oblique, and we can zoom in, zoom out, pan. We can look at their layers, and they have their parcels on here. Pretty straightforward. Another example is Washington County over here in Wisconsin. Now they have done this through ASC, and they have taken that little software development kit, and then we can go ahead and click on West Bend. And once again, this is all grabbing now from the cloud. It's coming over my little Verizon jetpack here, but very good. So it's very accessible and very mobile in being able to use things wherever, as long as you have an internet connection. And here's another example. This is the Pro West, sorry. But, so then they have embedded this into their application as well. All right. This is an example of ArtMap Extension, or it's actually an add-in. So this is Milwaukee, and we're going to go. Here's the toolbar that is put up there when you do the add-ins. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a little image. I can click here on this building, and then now once again, now in this case I do have to log in. And here's our oblique imagery. All right. Next, I want to just go to our standard application. For those folks that are using ArcMap, you're just going to be able to use the extension or the add-in instead of going to a different third or another piece of software. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to go to our Explorer. And log in. Here we are. So now, some of these things too that you can, I'm going to zoom all the way out here. This is the first thing you'll see here. This is your county-wide, well, it's not a Mr. Sid, but it's your county-wide mosaic. And if I zoom out even further, I can start seeing. The other nice thing is this will even like bring in, like this county over here is
Burnett County.
Yeah, Burnett. They should. Oh, they don't have the
Yeah,
mosaic
09.
up yet.
They have 09.
Yeah, 09. But so then you can see your surrounding counties as well. So if you're doing mutual aid and things like that. So which one is it right here?
Yep.
And I got to zoom in now. It'll go to a higher res. This happens to be so. Now, some of the other things that you can do is, once again, I can walk around this and see this building and from all different directions. And maybe I want to measure how. Oh, that was a bad bit. That one. It's usually a. Let's zoom in over here. So if I wanted to, you can do some of the things like the measurement tools here and so forth. I can go and measure my distance, which you can do in a lot of other applications. And it'll show you your distance. Now, one thing that's unique to this is that you can measure height. So I can measure height. And it gives me my measurement there, 16.8 feet. There's been a lot of studies done on the accuracy, and it's dead on accurate. It's 99% accurate. It's 1% inaccurate if it's user error, if I don't hit the right exact pixel of where that roof is or whatnot. One thing that's sort of neat, we were talking about the elevation and embedding that into the imagery, and that is you can take you can click anywhere and it'll give you the ground, the elevation. Now what you can also do is I can use my ground slope and then click and double click it down at the bottom. It'll show you there's a ground slope of negative 2.6%, and the difference in elevation is negative 6.7 feet. So it's a good way to use the everyday user to be able to use that LiDAR data. We were talking about it earlier, that LiDAR is sometimes a little tougher to use. You're going to have the right software and the right know-how to do it, and now it's very easy to use. Are there any questions? You know what? I forgot to give. There's one thing I wanted to get out of my. Sorry about that. I also wanted to show you a little bit of the mobile applications too. So this is the mobile application that's used for any Android or Apple or phone or smartphone or tablet. So I'm just going to I'm going to log in actually into Worcester Insight, and it'll bring up where I was last. So at this point in time, it's pretty easy to do. So what the point being is that now you can have all your valuable GIS data and all that LiDAR data, for that matter, and all your imagery in the palm of your hand, literally. So you can have that anywhere. Once again, you have to have internet access. So I'm going to go over here, and I want to go to my layers. I can put in my in here are my parcels, and I can look at it from a straight down ortho perspective just by hitting the bottom down there, or I can look at it from different directions as well. Another thing you can do, what I really like, is I'm going to go to the tools. You have all your measurement tools, just like I showed over there. But then one nice thing that I didn't show you on there, but is on here. So I can identify different things. So if I'm driving right along here, I can, I see something that I want to look at. I can now identify, I want to know who owns this house right here, and it gives me all my parcel data. So I have all that information as well. That's all the attributes. Okay. Then,
GPS capabilities.
oh yeah, if I would have hit the find me button, it would have went right to where I'm standing. But for the sake of time. All right. Back over here. We talked about that already. And finally, I just want to talk about, like I said, that one application that the building outlines is a valuable thing. A lot of folks are sometimes creating building outlines from LiDAR, and sometimes that it doesn't turn out the best. Sometimes a little fuzzy, and creating building outlines from that. So there are other ways of doing this, and it's been pretty popular. And the first one, is the building outline creation, and then in turn a change detection. And what that does is a change finder, and there's several companies that do this, but basically it creates a building outline of the building, and then actually, in our case, building the lengths of sides and the square feet and the XY, and that is also then delivered as well. Then what we can do after doing that, after creating that first outline, is then compare it to another year and then say, okay, has this changed? Has it been demolished? Is it new? Those types of things. It's very valuable. And then it's also delivered as a shapefile. So then now you have all the building outlines for your entire county. And I think that's really about it that I want to. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned that slope tool where you hit a point, showed you slope. Can you also do it where it'll show you a profile of the ground in between the 2 points? Because like the 2 points you took, I knew there's a hill in between them, and it's not really showing the true slope that's in there. Is there a way to?
Yes, there is. Actually, it's probably with the, or it is with the ground distance. So if you have, let's say you use the distance tool, and you click here, and you click here, that's 477 feet. And then I don't know how this is going to show up, but if you do the distance ground, it does take in the topography of the earth and will change the line to the curve of the earth. Let's see if we can do another one. Oh, they're curved a little bit, but yeah, it does do that.
Okay.
And then you can always even turn on your contours as well, and those are user.